All right, I'm recording. So, hi, my name is Claire O'Neill. I'm with LRT Sports, and I'm joined with Bre Cavanaugh. Bre Cavanaugh is a redshirt junior or incoming redshirt senior from New Jersey. At 5'7", Bre plays guard for Fordham University after transferring from UC Berkeley. Bre was rated in the top 100 for basketball recruits and has led the Rams to a 2019 Atlantic 10 championship. In addition, this past year, she was named the 2020 A10 Player of the Year. And she is also the #1 returning leading scorer in the NCAA. So thank you so much for joining me, Bre.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just go into the questions.
Okay.
What is the best advice from Coach Gaitley that she's given to your team?
I'd say the best advice that Coach Gaitley has given to our team is to, one of the things she always expresses to us when we come to practice is that you get to be here. A lot of kids are fighting for your position or fighting for your spot to even be on a team in general, whether it's Division I, II, or III. We step across those lines or step into practice, we get to be there, just like how we get to be in school. Like nobody's forcing us to do anything. We get to be there, and a lot of kids are fighting for our spot. So I think that's one of the best advices that Coach had ever given to myself and the team.
Very true. Why Fordham?
That's a good question. So why Fordham? So for me, I always go for the whole family atmosphere, and I'm not too, I don't mind if the college is big or small. It's not really about that, but I really go for the family feeling and just that home feeling, because that's your home typically for the next 4 years. So you have to make sure when you're going to these schools, you pick what best fits you. And Fordham, I'm telling you, as soon as I walked on campus, I literally said, this is it. It just reminded me of my old high school. I went to Bre Academy High School in New Jersey. It reminded me of my old high school. It was nice and small. Everyone was outside just hanging out, and it just was a very home feeling. It didn't feel like it was too much or overwhelming or any pressure or any of that.
I can definitely relate to that too. Just stepping on campus, I kind of felt at home when I went on my visit. So
Yeah.
Definitely get that. So do Division I recruits need to be ranked and have elite ball handling and defensive skills, or be the best player on their high school and club team in order to get recruited?
It depends. It depends on which college is looking at you. I know from experience, some colleges are really looking for ranked or whether you have elite ball handling skills or not, whether you're good on defense or not. I know a lot of coaches that look for that. Specifically Fordham, no. But you do have to kind of be an impact, if that makes sense. You don't have to be the best player. Even if you're, the worst player, if you can somehow make an impact for the program, then, coach will definitely look for you, but it just, like I said, it depends on the different colleges that you go to. For example, if I was recruited to go to Duke, and the only reason why I was recruited to go to Duke is because I was in the top 100. It had nothing to do with my skills of X, Y, and Z. And then other coaches, you go to NC State. I went to NC State, and he expressed to me, okay, you would be a good point guard. Even though I'm not a point guard, you'd be a good point guard because you can dribble the ball, you can handle the ball under pressure, you can back out of double teams, X, Y, and Z. So it really honestly depends on which college that you go to. But I will say majority of college coaches will look for highly ranked players or players who are the best coming out of high school or their AAU club team, and other coaches really kind of just go off of if you're going to make an impact on the program.
That's great advice. So you're a combo guard, but if you had to pick one for playing guard at Fordham, what is the most important? Size and frame, technical ability, or IQ?
So for Fordham, I would definitely say, especially with someone with my height, because we play against some tall people, it would definitely be. My nephew's in the back. This one was a tough one. I would definitely say basketball IQ, because if you're smart enough to to figure out how to get past your defender, or figure out how to do things on offense, or try to set your teammates up, or even learn plays and stuff like that. I feel like that takes care of itself, and it wouldn't matter, how tall or how small you are, because I am one of the smallest. And I've been pretty successful, and I would probably say because of the basketball IQ. And if you have basketball IQ, I'm pretty sure, you can ask anybody else, like basketball IQ, it's definitely key and very important in order to do anything. So.
How can a high school athlete start the process of being a Fordham basketball walk-on, and how complicated is that process?
So we do have a few walk-ons on our team, and what they usually had to do was they would tell Coach Gaitley that they wanted to walk on, and Coach would say okay. So they would come to a few of our pickup games. We play pickup in the preseason and in our summer sessions, and so they would come and they get a feel for the team and just play with us and Coach always asks how so and so, did they do well, did they fit in, and we give her the feedback. If they fit in, then they will continue to the next step, which is the coaches put them through an individual workout, like what we would do to see if they could either keep up or if they would fit, athletically fit our style of play. It's pretty hard. I know a lot of people that have walked on. They're like, oh yeah, it was pretty tough. And they would give us a list of things that they would do. But I mean, it's tough. But I feel like anywhere else you walk on, you go through this. You go through the same process, and it's worth it. But it's not too complicated. It's just they come around a team first for a little bit. We feel them out, and then the coaches take the next step, and then after that, they walk on. So it's not really too bad. It's not anything crazy, but they do have to go through some sort of process. Yeah.
You transferred from UC Berkeley to Fordham. Why did you transfer, and what was the most challenging part of transferring?
So I loved UC Berkeley, but one of the main reasons why I transferred was because I got my sixth concussion out there. Six was a lot, but because of my last concussion, I suffered a lot of everything that had to do with balancing and just my eyesight and stuff like that. So the sixth concussion at Berkeley brought it out. So I had to go home and go to Pittsburgh to recover for 7 months. And we just felt that, especially being a D1, college athlete, we just felt that, I'm all the way on the East Coast. So what if something else happens again? So we figured just, we loved Cal, just reopen my recruiting and, stick closer to home just in case. Cause you really honestly never know. You never know. And I don't ever play careful. So that doesn't help either. But the process was definitely, it was definitely hard. I'd say the most challenging part would probably be the fact that I had to, seeing on the news websites that, Bre Cavanaugh is transferring from Cal. That's probably one of the hardest because everyone was asking me so many questions. It began to be very overwhelming. And then redoing the process over again, because I started my recruiting process when I was in eighth grade. Eighth grade is when I got my first offer. So through all those years and stuff like that, and just talking to different coaches and visiting here and there, it's very overwhelming. So I only opened it up to New York and New Jersey colleges, and I still got other college coaches, trying to get me to go across the country or even Midwest, and it's just very overwhelming. And when I chose Fordham, believe it or not, a lot of people were kind of like, why Fordham? Like, you're better than Fordham. It's it's really not about if you're good or not. It's really about how I feel and if I feel comfortable playing there. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, it's not about going to the big college or going to this and being the star here and there. It's really not about that. If I feel comfortable, that's what I'm going to do. So it was just hearing everyone, just having their opinions and just seeing it all on, ESPN and Twitter and stuff like that. It was kind of stressful, but got through it.
Yeah, for sure. And very well, might I add. What are two essential qualities that a captain needs to lead a Division I team? Is it tough to be a leader and also at the same time be friends with the team?
Oh man, I mean, as a leader, you have to be able to hold your teammates. You have to be able to hold your teammates accountable, and you also have to lead by example. And you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So you have to be okay with saying the hard things. Because at the end of the day, you're doing what's best for the team now, not for what's best for you individually or a couple of your teammates. You kind of walk a thin line between, the coaches and you're an extension of the team. So it's like you have to be okay with holding your teammates and yourself accountable. being comfortable with, saying the tough things. And I mean, it's hard. I mean, I know for me this year was hard because this is my first year being a captain. It was definitely hard because I had to realize that it's not just about getting myself better. It's also about getting my teammates better. And not only that, but making sure that, I'm able to communicate effectively and clearly. So, I mean, being a captain's tough, but, it's obviously a relief when your teammates elect you captain. And, it says a lot about you or, your fellow captains as well. But definitely being a captain is hard. Like you're expected to do so much. Not only that, but you also have to have like separate leadership meetings and go to all these different leadership meetings, and then on top of practices and classes and extra workouts and stuff like that. So it's a lot, but it's definitely worth it. But I would definitely say accountability, effective communication, and being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Awesome. What red flags should recruits look for when they go on official visits?
Red flags. Well, there's a lot of them, but I'll stick to a couple. I would say one of the red flags, if you're going on to a visit and they just strictly talk about basketball, that should be a red flag, because then that just means they really want you just for your basketball. They don't really, not that they don't care about your family or you individually as a person, but there's more to you than basketball. So I would definitely say if they stick to talking about basketball, if they don't, what I'm saying, like if you feel like you have to, or if you feel like you have to hold back from like being yourself, another red flag. If you're on a visit and you're not with the coaches and you're with the team, and you don't really feel too comfortable, or if they say things that you don't like, but you're kind of just going with the flow because you don't want to be looked at differently, red flag. Just my advice really honestly is to just be yourself. Ask those hard questions. Like, I know a lot of people that choose schools because they tell them that they're going to play, and then they don't. Because no coach, honestly, if we're being realistic, no coach can promise anybody that anything in terms of playing. Like they can't promise you anything.
Yeah.
It would be foolish if they did, because you have to also look at who's there before you and who's still there when you're there. And like, also you have to look at yourself and be like, okay, so what do I have to do to get better? But if a coach is going to sit there and tell you, yeah, no, you're definitely going to play, come to my program, they're just literally feeding you like things that you want to hear so that you can go. And I always try to tell people like stay away from that, because that you're just going to end up transferring.
Yeah.
And I like, and if you can go on that visit and you can be yourself and you can truly feel like that's that best fits you, then that's all you really need. But when coaches start like telling you about this and trying to sell you the school, you got to be careful.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of recruits sometimes lose sight of the fact that they're trying to go to schools, but the schools are recruiting them, but they're also going to be there for the next 4 years or however many years.
Yeah.
It's not just on the side of the coaches. They're also trying to find the best fit for them.
Right. And you also can't choose a school because they've won X, Y, and Z amount of championships. I tell people, don't do that. Please don't do that. A couple of my closest friends did that, and they found themselves transferring. I was like, I told you don't do that, but don't do that either.
How can a high school basketball player get on the Fordham coach's radar?
I would say most definitely. I know a lot of people, they reach out, they send emails, or their AAU coach contacts coaches. I feel like that's most effective when the AAU coach contacts the coach. Not only that, but also to send like, just a little, not a highlight, but a little film, just showing what you can do and like what you can offer, to the program. And my advice to, the high school athletes, incoming high school athletes that want to get recruited, is to really do your research on the school too, because it's not just about basketball. I always say this all the time. It's not just about basketball or the sport you're going to play. So make sure you do your research. Definitely AAU coaches or high school coaches, definitely keep you in contact with, the Fordham coach. That would be most effective, because obviously you can't do it on your own, because coach gets so many emails a day. So, not that obviously she's going to get to them, but she'd have more of a, I guess, not an interest, but more of a will to get back to a coach than, to scroll through and see like, oh, I don't know, Mary and Kelly and this, what I'm saying? Like, so definitely most effective high school or your club team's coach.
You mentioned a little bit about a highlight video. Can a good highlight video help the athlete with getting on a coach radar?
Yes, definitely. What's up, Marco? Definitely. Honestly, because at the end, it's more effective too if you're nowhere near New York and and Coach Gaitley or any of the coaches can't get out to you. So if you can send a good, highlight film, I always suggest to put a couple of bad clips in there too, because you don't want to just give them all the good. You know what I'm saying? Give them all the good, because they also have to look at, where your weaknesses are. So if you're just feeding them your strengths, I wouldn't advise that. But definitely, highlight films, they definitely help, especially if the coaches can't come out and see you, because obviously, they have a busy schedule, you have a busy schedule, also location of where you are too. So definitely highlight films work best. And now obviously with 2020, all high school games are being streamed online, so it's easier access for the coaches anyway. But definitely highlight films are key.
When and how should a recruit bring up scholarship money, or should they wait for the coaches to mention?
I would say if you were coming in as a walk-on and you were doing great and you were competing, I would definitely have that conversation with the coach and bring it up, because you do have a right, especially if you feel like you could get on with a scholarship. But when it comes to those who are being recruited, I would wait for the coach to say something, because you don't want to go in there, so am I going to be offered? You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, you don't want to walk in there and, sometimes it takes more than 2 visits. Sometimes it takes more than 2 visits to, A, have the coach feel you out. B, you have to keep feeling out the school and the situation. And clearly, if the coaches are going to keep, inviting you back, eventually they're going to offer you. But if you were coming in as a recruit, I would definitely not ask about that. But if you were a walk-on or you were incoming walk-on, I would definitely hold those conversations, because it's college is not cheap.
No, it is not.
So I would definitely, that would be my advice. 2 different scenarios, 2 different situations. But, like I said, if you're coming in as a recruit, I would not go in there saying, so am I going to be offered? Like, I would not do that. But as a walk-on or as an incoming, walk-on, I would definitely hold that conversation, because you do have a right. And at the end of the day, you're going to be a walk-on. So.
Right. What is the most significant difference between being on a high school team versus your college team?
Woo! This question. So there is a huge difference. I don't care if you're the best player coming out of high school going into college. There is a huge difference, because at the end of the day, when you go into college, everyone's on the same level as you. You're not the best. You're not the best. You know what I'm saying? You're not the best like you were in high school. But I'd say one of the biggest things, and I tell people all the time, one of the biggest things would be strength and conditioning, because it's a different type of conditioning when you enter any type of college athletics. It's a different type of conditioning, and strength-wise too. Everyone's probably stronger than you. There's probably a small portion of athletes that come in that are, right there with them, or even maybe a tiny bit stronger. But I would say strength and conditioning, because the basketball piece or any of the technical pieces like that, I'm pretty sure the coaches can work with you on that. But when it comes to, strength and conditioning, that's got to be on you. So there is a huge jump. And, I always give people this advice, and definitely work on strength and conditioning, especially if you're making that jump from high school to college, because it's a huge jump. I don't care what division or what, there's a huge jump.
I agree. I think that's applicable to most sports as well.
Yeah.
What if you could change one thing about your recruiting process, what would you change and why?
One thing about my recruiting process. I committed so early, and I think part of the reason why I did that was because I was just so stressed out with the whole process of, returning coaches' phone calls and going to this school, that school, all the home visits. I committed my junior year of high school. Some people commit their senior year, but by junior year, I mean like end of sophomore going to junior year, so it's a bit early. But I would, I just wish I waited a little bit, but I think the stress overtook that. But I would definitely say taking my time, because obviously I was influenced a little bit by just being stressed and stuff like that, but it wouldn't help to take the extra year to figure out where you wanted to go. I'm not saying I didn't like Cal. I loved Cal, but after I committed to Cal, I had other schools like wanting to come in, and I didn't give them the chance because I already committed. So definitely waiting it out and seeing all your options, not just what's right there in front of you.
Now going into a little bit of fun questions. If you could play another sport, what would you play?
I would definitely do soccer. I love soccer. I played soccer when I was little until like I want to say 5th grade because I had to choose a sport at that point, which one, if I wanted to play soccer or basketball. And obviously, I chose basketball, but I definitely love soccer. I love soccer.
What is the funniest thing that you or a teammate did during a game?
Oh my God. So we joke about this all the time. So for some reason, I don't know, and we were in a big time game. I think we were in this was to get us to this was the second round of the WNIT, and we were playing against Drexel, and Drexel's really good. And for some reason, I don't know why we thought this, but so Lauren and I looked at Mary and we're like, yo, Kendall's open. But Kendall was like so far out of bounds. Like she could have literally walked up the stairs in the stands. And Mary threw her the ball and she caught it out of bounds. And we all started dying. It wasn't the time to start like dying laughing, but we all started dying laughing because we were like, wait, we're like, first of all, Kenny's out of bounds. I don't know why we told you to throw it to her. And we all just started dying laughing. Coach was mad, but we were dying laughing. So I thought it was hilarious.
Some of the funniest moments are when your teammates are laughing, but your coach might not be the happiest.
Yes, 100%.
Do you have a go-to song before a big game?
Yes, I do. So before games, I listen to a lot of like alternative rock / like alternative 2000s. So like I'm really into that. So I listen to Linkin Park before a game, and I'll listen to what else? Pearl Jam. Who else? A lot of those guys. So, but I would probably say Jeremy by Pearl Jam would be my go-to song before a game.
Do you have a go-to meal before a big game?
My go-to meal is just going to sound so horrible and it's very not healthy, but I would definitely go to Subco and I would get a package of ramen noodles and I would heat that up and I would eat that before a game. Yes, that is my go-to meal.
I can't judge you on that. Instant ramen is one of my favorite things, and I haven't had it before a game though, so maybe I should try that.
It works. That's my go-to meal though.
Yeah, and Subco, just for reference, is like a kind of convenience store on Fordham's campus with just snacks and sandwiches, etc. So that was the last question. Thank you so much, Bre, for joining LRT today for this interview. You gave so much good advice, and I'm sure a lot of recruits you put that to good use, and we're very thankful for that.
Thank you.